So we have these old screens that a client of mine actually has asked me if I was able to rescreen them, which is no problem. I've done hundreds of them. This screen is so old that the spline right here, that's that black stuff that goes in there. So that is so old, it's just brittle. It falls apart. You can't pull it out. Usually what you do is, if you can get that started, then you can take a pair of pliers like that, and you can grab a hold of the spline and you can just pull it out, no problem. But in this case, what we're doing is we're having to scrape it all the way along. It's just brittle, just falling apart. So if you have a poker like this that's sharp on one end, you can get in like this and you can actually just pop it right out. It does take a bit of work. So what I've done is I've actually put just a stick, a board on the end there, and put a couple clamps on the table, and then I can put like this, I can put pressure against that to try and get that out. So which I've done on these ones already, and as you can see right here, that is the spline. That's all that's left of it. It's just crumbles, and the screen is just falling apart as well. So I'll just pause the video right now, and I'm going to scrape that out and just show you in a second. So here you can see I've probably it's a good idea to put gloves on, because if that thing slips, that's going right through your skin, no problem. So wear a pair of gloves. Leather gloves would probably be better because they're stronger, but I like these rubber type gloves. They just fit snug. You just got to get in there, and you just got to poke away. Better to keep your hand back here, because if you do this and it slips, it's going to really hurt. So what you do is just get in there up against like that and just work it, because it's just brittle. So usually you can get it started, and then you can just work it out there. It's hard. It's baked in there is the problem, eh? It just doesn't want to, it takes some time to work at, as you can see, and it just falls apart. It's just in crumbs there. So some of them were easier than others. This one's one of the harder ones. So we finally got that all cleaned out. So make sure that this track in here, make sure it's all nicely cleaned. Take a screwdriver, or a maul, like just a pointed screwdriver. Make sure it's all cleaned out, so that when you put your new screen in, it won't rip. So we got all these other ones are done now. So some of the tools you might need is a flathead screwdriver, a pair of pliers. Sometimes you need a Phillips screwdriver or a Robertson here, because sometimes there's a handle on the screens, like we did this guy over here. This screen door, actually here, that only took me maybe 20 minutes. These guys here just took me 20 minutes to get the screen and the spline out. So anyways, it's done, and it was really brittle. The other thing you'll probably need a tool is you will need one of these screening tools. One side here has a V groove in it, and the other's just kind of rounded. And you might need a pointed screwdriver type thing, or a nail set. That works as well. Sometimes you need a utility knife. So as you can see on the floor, that's a bunch of the spline that's left over. So it's all just brittle. So now we're gonna start screening these, and I'll get all set up, and then I'll catch you in a second. So we're back, and we're just doing the screen now. So what we did is we took our roll of screen, we laid it out on the table, and we made sure we had a little bit of extra on this side, and then we had a little bit extra on that side, and some extra on this side. It's unfortunate we don't have enough width to do more than one, so you're going to have some waste. So my helper here she's just putting the spline in. So we had to get a 0.12 size spline, because we had a 1.4 and it was just a little too big. So just make sure you know what size you got before you start. Otherwise, you're going back to the hardware store. So she's very carefully rolling the spline in just a little at a time so that it doesn't rip the screen, because it is very easy to cut the screen with your tool. So just be very careful with that. And then when we're all done, what we're going to do is we're taking our utility knife and we're going to cut the screen off this way. Don't cut it this way, because if you do, you could catch the screen and rip it. So always cut to the outside with your knife. So she's just finishing up there. So we have a little bit of extra, and do not use your knife to cut that. Just take your scissors and just trim off the little bit of extra like that. Just trim it off just a bit there, and then you're good to go. And so that's part of how you do your screening. And just make sure that you give it a little run over after it's all done, just to make sure it's snug and won't come out. So there you go. There's partly how you screen a window, reinstall a window screen. Thanks very much.